are 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
Hello and happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Wow, look, the cameras are going crazy. Got Luke on the screen right here, live on YouTube. Way to go, Luke. I'm glad you just combed your hair there. We'll switch that camera in a moment. So happy Monday, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, 98.3 FM, The Life. I'm your host, Marty Jalove. I come at you every single Monday night at 7 o'clock to talk about your job, your career, your vision made clear, the skills that you hone for the business that you own, the ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, where you're at and where you're bound. And just like we do at every single episode, I try to bring you some of the best of the industry, some of the best guests, so we can talk about some important things. And so today, without exception, I have my two boys here, Nate and Luke. Luke and Nate, they're both in the studio. I'm going to turn on those mics so they can holler hey to everybody. So holler hey.
Oh, Marty, thanks. I've been talking this entire time.
That's why I kept your mic off. There you go. So Luke, don't worry, you can say hi. All right, I'll switch the video in a moment.
Hello.
Beautiful. Well done. Let's see. There we go. Look at that. Now the stars on the show. All right. So these are my two boys, and what we've been doing all year has been talking about young leaders, professional growth, how you become better at your position. And I just learned you end up becoming a better person, a better team leader, a better employee, a better employer, etc. So we've been touching on a bunch of different topics, and today is episode 10 of 10, and we're going to kind of do a recap. Talk a little bit about our favorite episodes, what we learned, what we wish we would have learned, some of the other things where we think we might have gone wrong in the past, and what we can do better in the future. So with that, again, I'd love to hear from you guys first. I'm going to throw it back at you guys. As far as, can you believe a year is already up?
It's been a long year too. I look back at the 10 episodes we did, and I think we did some good work. I think we really taught the people about all these different lessons, like professional management, and I believe time management was another kind of management we did.
Good. Yeah.
And don't forget the soft skills. Some would say my favorite skills are the soft skills.
I don't think I was there for that one.
You missed a couple there, Luke. That's all right. But you know what? Nate was there for every single one there. So
we had a double back, so I've got a slight asterisk, but
that's all right. That's all right. You know what's most important?
Yeah.
I think I was there at every one of them.
Yeah.
So there you go. There you go. But so which one, Nate, since I got the camera on you right now, this is gonna be fun because we're gonna be jumping around between three of us. Which episode, and don't just say time management because that was last month's, which episode do you think rings clearest to you, that you remember something you said, hey, this is actually worth my time showing up to these?
I really think the soft skills one.
Okay.
Kind of it, because it's when you're talking about personal development and growing as in business and as a young leader, everybody starts hammering all the big ones, but the soft skills and really learning how to navigate them, it just so often they get either overlooked or just not enough attention paid to them, and really they can kind of serve as a good foundation and a good base layer for what you need to do to accomplish just growth in yourself and your team.
I'm agreeing with you 100%. What ends up happening is too often we hire people on what we'd consider the hard skills. Hey, do you have a driver's license so you can drive? Can you drive a forklift? Have you ever served in a restaurant before? How many words can you type? Anything like that. Those are the learned skills that we end up asking people about, but it's a little bit more difficult to find out about the soft skills, those types of things, their ability to listen, their ability to empathize with other people, how to become a better member of a team. Those are the things that are hard to find out in an interview, but it's important to ask leading questions to get that information. So you got somebody who's really good for your team.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I had an interesting conversation with our head of HR a couple of months ago, and I was just commenting about different candidates that were applying for a position. And he said, Nate, you can teach everybody just about anything technical, but you cannot teach somebody to care. And that was something that just really stuck out to me, because would I rather have somebody with a ton of background in whatever thing I'm looking for, and to them this is just one more means to an end, this is it, or would I rather find somebody who actually cares and then take them and show them the steps that need to be done. And if they care, they're going to look for improvement. They're going to look for ways to better everything.
Yep.
They're going to ask
Yep.
intelligent questions and take ownership.
I think it's more, it's a combination. That care, I really like the sound of that, just finding people who care. Is it, do you think you'd rather have somebody who really cares about their own personal growth or someone who really cares about your brand or your industry?
I think it has to be both. I
Okay.
honestly do. And I think one goes hand in hand, because if you care about the brand, you are going to
Yep.
do what you can to better yourself, because you know that you being the best at your job is going to grow the brand. And by the same token, if you really care about yourself, because because your career takes so much of your time and so much of your mental space, by default, the brand is going to grow because the person cares about themselves and cares about how they're doing their job.
Gotcha. So bachelor number one, that would be you, Luke.
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think about that? Do you think it's more important to hire people who are who care about their own personal growth, or they care about the growth of the company? The brand, they have a passion for the brand or the industry.
Well, I do think it's a column A, column B situation.
Okay.
I don't think you can, because the way the world works, you're not going to get a staff full of people who care about the company. A lot of the time you have to earn their invested interest, through the job. So I think you do have to find people who are like, okay, this is going to be a stepping stone for me. At least that's my current plan.
Right.
But, also, like, especially closer to the top, you would hope
Yeah.
that the people who are like in charge of a company are going to have an interest in it continuing to be.
Sure.
So I don't think one is particularly more important to a business than another. I think they have to coexist.
All
And
right.
I think that's how you run things.
I'm loving it. I couldn't agree with you guys more. I think you're both right. Ideally, if you get a little bit of both. And I think that any human being is not just going to go, I don't really care about the company. I don't care about this industry. I only care about myself. You're going to notice, you're going to know that person's attitude right off, very, very early on. So I always break down employees. If I'm going to hire somebody, I always break them down into three things. When I'm interviewing, I try to find out where they fit in. All right. And it's, I break it down to that whole thing, that passion for the brand or the industry. That's the first one. Personal growth. That's what they're after. Or number three is they're just here for a paycheck. So it's those three P's: passion for the brand, personal growth, or a paycheck. And it's not to say any one of them is not needed, not necessary. They're all important in their own ways. Sometimes if I got an assembly line project, or it's a lot of work to get done, if I got ditches to be dug, I don't need 30 people going, you know what, I think I come up with a better idea of doing this. Sometimes it's just stick the shovel in the dirt and get it done. Those are the kind of people. Sometimes we need to hire people who just work for a paycheck, just get the job done, and they go home. They're happy. You're happy.
Yep.
Other times what you're doing is you're looking for somebody who has a passion for personal growth, which is really important. But then what you have to do as an employer is give them opportunities to grow, because if they feel that they've grown out of your company, they're going to leave right away. So you've got to continue to give them challenges. And then lastly, if they've got a passion for the brand or the industry, you still have to give them some reason that they can feel good about themselves. It's not always about the company. That's what I loved about both of your answers. It's a little bit of both. Somebody loves the industry or loves the brand, you can't let them down. Sometimes you work for a company and you're like, wow, I love this company. This is, I've dreamt about working for this company, and then all of a sudden you realize, wow, the owners are a little mischievous. They're lying. They're not completely honest or something like that. I don't like the way they treat their employees. You break their spirit. And so if somebody's got a personal, a passion for your brand or your industry, you have to keep that alive. All right. So, these are the people who will run through fire for you.
Right.
Okay. So with that, let me just remind the listeners out there. So today's, again, we're talking about personal and professional growth for young leaders. And this is part 10 of the 10-part series. If you want to view all the other episodes, you can go to the website, which is masterhappiness.com, and go to the blog post. And in the blog post, there's one of the groupings called professional growth. And you're going to get a quick link to all 10 of these episodes. And we cover a bunch of different things. And we're going to kind of recap a bunch of them today. But later in the show, we will be going over our bacon. Now, for those of you who just joined in and never heard about the show, what we do is the reason it's called Bacon Bits is we apply a little bacon to it. Because everything bacon touches just becomes a little bit better. All right. But of course, we are not looking for the bacon for chewing.
Oh, no, Marty. We're looking for the bacon for doing.
Wow. I thought both of you were going to jump in on that one.
Nate seemed to have it covered.
All right. Good. Yes, we are looking for the bacon for doing. So the BACON of today is going to be this top 5 lessons for young leaders. All right. And this isn't anything specific. This is a conglomeration of everything we've learned over the past year. And so the B is balance, learning how to balance your work and life. Remember, and it's balancing everything. Don't lean too far in one direction or another. It's always about finding some balance in your job, in your life, etc. A is adaptability. Man, if I could hire people, if they could have one strong characteristic trait, adaptability's got to be way up high on that list. Because those are the kind of people who can change and turn and adapt to what I need them to become. The C in bacon is collaboration. All right, I almost said calibration, which is also good, but we're going to talk about collaboration. All right, collaboration. I need them to be team players. I need them to work with other guys in the team, whether it's a different department, their coworkers, etc. The O is ownership. Okay. I don't want finger pointers. I want people who are not afraid to make mistakes and stand up and say, I made a mistake. How can we improve upon it? Because those mistakes are how we learn. All right. And then finally is N is going to be the navigation. And this is for great leaders to know how to navigate their teams. All right. How great leaders have got to understand where the goals are, how to push and motivate their teams along that so that success can be met. So we will slowly get into that, but I wanted to get into a couple of these different things that we covered over the past year. And the last one we covered was time management. All right. So we're going to kind of jump in and out of these really kind of quickly because we've only got an hour to cover a year's worth of content. So time management. Has either one of you, have you mastered time management? Do you think that what you've learned on the shows in the past about when we talked on time management, did you find anything that improves the way that you schedule your day?
You know, the kind of the I flip in between the two. I flip in between like the block method.
Okay.
Where I go, from this time to this time I'm doing this time to this time I'm doing this,
Sure.
and kind of laying it out like that. And then it's almost like with me and my day, I kind of break it into two portions. So like the first half of the day is all block. Like this needs to be done by this time, this needs to be done by this time, this needs to be done by this time. And then the rest of the day is almost the portion where it's like you work on a project for a little bit and then you go do this. You work on a project and go do this. And I treat that as I have my list of things that I need to accomplish that day laid out. And but I also throughout the course of the day, part of what I do is just talking with the other department heads, making sure that I'm in touch with the fleet and in touch with billing, in touch with the other operations managers. And so I will, make a list of things. And then I got 15 minutes. I get it from my desk. I go walk around. I might check in with, safety. I might check in with someone, see if there's anybody going on. So it's a little different because in the way you talked about it was like you give yourself a little bit of a break.
Sure.
But for me, I use that as just kind of like it's like a mental break. I go engage in something else, and then I come back to what I am doing.
That's perfect.
Whatever it is. Because if I'm sitting staring at spreadsheets all day, I start to beat my head against the table. But
you won't even be able to read what's on them anymore because your mind is wandering. Right.
So I kind of go half and half, but I have in the past I've been training just more of a junior employee, and they have a hard time focusing. So I've had to lay out a very strict schedule. Like you need to have this done by this time.
Gotcha.
You need to have this done by this time. And then I go in and I'll come in and I'll know where you're supposed to be. I'm like, hey, have you accomplished this at this time?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like holding them to that and helping them build that time management, because otherwise all of a sudden it's 4:30 and we were supposed to leave half an hour and I go, what do you got left? And so I got this and I got this and I got this. And it's like, what have you been doing all day?
All right. So then I'm going to suggest to you is the other thing to introduce to that guy is that Eisenhower matrix we talked about, the do, delay, delegate, and dump. And it's always tough when he's like, but I got nobody to delegate to.
Right.
Okay. But what you got to do is he's got to understand what is urgent and what's important. Okay. And not always what's urgent is important. And sometimes what we do is we let the urgent things get in the way of the important things.
Yeah.
And I think you as his manager have to teach him how to define that. And you've got to help him by defining it, going, that stuff's not that may seem urgent, but it's not important. And
Right.
if you're jumping in to put out what you're thinking is a big fire, you're avoiding something that really needs to get done.
Yeah.
And what you're going to end up doing is making these important things become urgent because you spend so much time doing something else. Okay. But again, you as the manager have to define it, and eventually your employee will learn the difference.
Yep.
And that's what he's got to say. What am I going to work on right now? What am I going to do? What am I going to delay to later? What can I delegate to maybe another department, another employee? And then finally, what can I dump? What can I just get rid of? Why am I wasting my time doing these things?
Yeah.
Okay. So Luke, you've been kind of quiet for a while. Anything on time management you want to add?
Well, last week you told me that the topic was time management, so I was out in the city.
Did I?
I was out in the city thinking about what I'd say on the show that day. And as I got back from work and I stopped by my apartment, my roommate, he was in our hall and he said, "Hey, do you want to help me with the world's largest crossword?"
Nice.
And I looked at the clock on the microwave and I said, "Yeah, sure. I got time to kill." And
Perfect.
let me just say I did not research time management quite enough.
Okay. All right.
Time
But I
went
do
unmanaged.
I do want to congratulate you. I saw that the world's largest crossword puzzle. That is
Yes.
pretty nice. How far into it are you?
Oh, you know,
Like
like
100th?
1%.
Okay.
I
yeah.
think we're like 1% of
1%.
1%.
Nice.
Of 1%.
Nice. Okay. All right. Cool. Anything difficult? Any new words you learned?
Most.
Yeah.
If you have a 7-word for Southwestern stew pot, we're listening.
Yeah. Well, see, I know that answer, but I don't want to give it up. I want you to work for it. Okay.
That's what everyone
Yeah,
said.
exactly. You know, and I only know it because Nate just texted me.
Right.
So
Yeah. I was walking down the hall. I saw it. I said, Southwestern stew pot. They'll never get that one.
Exactly.
Down the hall. Man.
Wow, this is going to be cool. The cameras were whacking out again, so you might be on there for a while.
Oh,
Luke. So
great.
just keep on smiling. All right. So what about this motivational strategies? We'll start with you since you're hogging the camera, Luke. Motivational strategies. Supervisors that you have had in the past, supervisors that you have currently, places that you work where either you believe you are being motivated or you need to motivate people. What are some of the strategies that you have seen that have succeeded or maybe failed? I love, I love throwing you on the spot, but you do a lot of improv, so you should be able to answer these questions, even if you make them up.
Well, this is a toughie because I'm not an often motivated person, but
Good. Let's make sure we put this show on your resume.
gotcha. I think the thing about motivation is just I'm often most motivated when a supervisor puts clear trust into me.
Okay, good.
To me, trust is a greater motivator than lack of trust.
Okay, I like that.
This idea that like I'm asking you to do this because I expect it of you.
Okay.
And less than if you don't do this, I will be mad or like I really don't want you to not do this. And I think that's just a difference in like the collaborative space, like the idea of making it more of a relationship.
Sure.
Instead of just like a punishment.
Gotcha. And I think, managers who do that are going to be really intelligent because what they're going to end up doing is they're going to find by giving you trust and allowing you, like I said before, allowing you to make a mistake now and then, but, helping you through that, helping you understand that every mistake is a learning experience. Giving you that trust is just going to help you grow as an individual. You're also going to learn that, let's say your current job, you leave and you go somewhere else, you're going to know the type of management you like, which ones you don't like, which ones you work the best under. Okay. And then at some point in time, when you are gifted with that responsibility of leading other people, you're going to know what you like, what you don't like, how you were treated in the past, well, better, or just worse. And you're going to be that type of a manager. Okay. So, Nate, what about you? What about motivation?
Well, the thing is, and Marty, I'm cheating because when you throw it to Luke, I pull up the Master Happiness website that has a quick synopsis broke down of every episode. Not only that, it tells you how long of a read it is, and I'm a fast reader, but I timed a couple of them. Not bad. Not bad.
Right,
what a
good,
great
good.
recap for
Thank
someone
you.
who has been a little out of the loop.
I know. I was talking to Luke. I'm sitting around and what Nate's over there reading something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got some podcast descriptions on my computer screen right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but anyways, I think as much as we went through and we broke down the bacon for motivation, but it's important to try to blend them together. But just the ones that kind of spoke to me was you have to create a supportive environment.
Yep.
But it's also aligning of expectations, because when if they don't even know what they're working towards, it's hard for them to kind of branch out and make decisions on their own. A big thing that I always try to do when I am working with my team is I don't want them to make a decision because they go, oh, I think this is the decision that Nate would want me to make.
Right.
I want them to make a decision because they go, this aligns with what Nate's vision or the company's vision for this office is, or for this team is. And that's why, because my thing is, if I question you on something and you can go back and go, well, you told me we were trying to accomplish this. And so here is how I tied this decision to this. If you can say that, even if it was maybe something that a decision I wouldn't have made, if you can show that you are working in the right direction, I can coach you and kind of go, okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yep.
Maybe tweak that a little bit. But it helps them be more confident in their decision making. Whereas if they just go, I don't know, I just like one time I saw you do it like that, and I didn't really know why, but I thought I would try it. And so the expectation is just it's kind of like setting the goal.
Yep.
They have to understand the mission, everything, and really hammering that home. And when they make decisions that do that, really recognize it. Really go, hey, I saw that you made this decision. I saw that it aligns with the, what we're trying to accomplish. I just really like that you're thinking that way.
Yeah.
And, taking the risk maybe sometimes, but I like where your head's at and why you're thinking that way.
I love it. You know what? You're echoing a lot of what Luke was saying. Basically, was trust. Liking somebody, a supervisor, a manager of yours, who is going to show you that he trusts you or she trusts you. And you're absolutely right. It's really difficult to gain trust if you don't know what the goal is.
Right.
You need to know where we need to go. And I always like telling people, more than just a goal, I want to define what success is. All right. Just not crossing the goal. It's success is get it done this way, by this deadline, etc. Here's the consequences of failure. I'm going to define what success is. I'm going to define what failure is. Here's the consequences of failure, and here's the rewards that are tied to success. And consequences just might be, hey, we're not going to make our monthly goal. Okay. It doesn't mean, when I say consequences, does not necessarily mean we're going to fire anyone. It just means, hey, we've got a setback. The rewards don't necessarily mean a bonus. Rewards might just be, hey, this is tremendous. We did a great job. Now we're really, we overshot the goal. And so we're, really well ahead of ourselves for the next quarter or something like that. And so there's really positives just to understand what success and failure are. All right. As well as just a goal, et cetera, and what the consequences and rewards are. I think it's perfect. I like how both of you guys lean towards trusting your people or feeling trusted. Okay. Cause I agree with you. There's nothing stronger than that. Nothing makes us feel better than that. So I'm going to jump into this next one is performance management. Okay. This is this whole idea of how you communicate with your people on a regular basis. How often do you talk to the people who work for you, your coworkers, okay, and the people who work above you? How often are you communicating about your performance and the performance of the entire company? I think this is really important because what it does is it keeps you on track. In the old days, a long time ago, when I was working, it was always known that you got a yearly review. Yeah. Okay. And you waited all the way to the year. And then suddenly you sat there and you walked in the meeting going, I'm going to get a raise. And the boss would say, yeah, Marty, this whole year, you just been missing it left and right. You just did a terrible job. I'm like, wow, you let me do that for an entire year. I thought I was doing a good job. And so these were companies that it seemed like one manager was running all these different, had a lot of people answering to them and not knowing how to communicate with them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I think today the modern manager, the intelligent manager, is constantly communicating with his people. All right. In order to say, hey, you're doing a great job. I really like the way you do this. Hey, why did you do this? I've got an open mind. Tell me, did you learn a better way to do this kind of stuff? You've got to continue with this communication to keep your team on the right path. There's nothing worse than waiting a year to tell your entire team that they've screwed up, and you guys have all wasted an entire year.
And something that I've found is I've worked in an environment where it is, the team that I'm running, we're all in the same room. I share a desk with, I'd share a desk with one of them. I had 3 other at a cubicle that was right next to each other. And so everything was very, like, the communication was constant.
Nice.
And what I found was there was actually a lot of lack of communication, because if I was speaking or thinking either one, I thought, hey, everybody's in the room, they're listening to what I'm saying, we're all on the same page. And then I would step away and I'd come back and I'd go, what is going on?
Yeah.
I couldn't have been more clear in what I thought my communication was.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple different people, you being one of them, just because, sometimes we'll go off to a restaurant that I love and have chats after the show and just kind of talk about things. But something I noticed was everybody kept saying, do one-on-ones, do one-on-ones with your team. And I had managers above me that would do the one-on-ones with me. And I was like, I don't get anything out of this. They'd be on their laptop, they'd be on their phone. We'd get halfway through, we'd get interrupted. They'd have something else that they'd be doing. And I'm going, I don't get anything out of these. Their time's being wasted. I should be doing other things. And so I was hesitant to kind of sit down with my team and do them. And anyways, I was like, I had a kind of a moment where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to really make a point to try this. And I said, I'm going to do it with my team. I told myself, I set the goal of doing a weekly. I was like, I got 4 team members, so I'll just do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Bam. Then if I have to reschedule one of them, I always have Friday as an open day to catch up.
Right.
And so I sat down, I started doing these one-on-ones, and it was crazy, because my thing was, okay, I'm going to have my laptop shut, my phone's flipped over, we're on silent, and we're just going to talk, be it about their kids, be it about whatever.
Right.
But it was just crazy how much I learned just in the first one. I was like, I need to do this every week. And it's easy because you can sit there and say, I'm going to do these every week, and then time management, you all of a sudden lose it. But the power of the one-on-one is really just, it is underrated. Everybody tells you to do it, but until you actually do it and you actually make a point to do it and do it right.
I think the reason it's successful for you is, going back to what we talked before, is you have instilled trust in your people. And they know they can talk to you and they can be honest and open to you. You're not closed-minded, you're open-minded, and you are willing to trust their opinion, and they can trust you that they can be vulnerable in front of you. And I think that speaks volumes about how you're growing as a manager.
Yep.
Okay. So, Luke, to you, what do you think? What do you think about performance management, people you've worked with in the past, as far as how they've treated you, what has worked, what hasn't worked? I don't know. We'll see if the camera ever gets to you. Right now, it's stuck on Nate. Okay. So
see how you
Nate,
like it.
Nate, while Luke is talking, just move your mouth, Nate. It'll look like you're still talking. So what do you think, Luke?
So my sort of nightmare story, in comparison to what Nate was saying, was I'm getting some buzz. Are you?
You're gonna. I get a little bit of buzz when you talk. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Stop kissing the mic.
Yeah, it's the bees in the studio.
Yeah, exactly.
I had an old boss who would hear about sort of problem people on the job, people that other coworkers were having a problem with.
Yeah.
And he would just go out of his way to schedule them on days he didn't work.
Wow.
So going out of his way to
avoid the problem.
To avoid the problem, exactly. To never have to make it an issue for him. And that led to a lot of resentment, obviously from all the coworkers, and it led to some hostile environment, because that meant that people who are not the boss had to be like, hey, you're not supposed to do this.
Yep.
And then that leads the original person to say, who are you to tell me that?
Yep.
You're not my boss.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, they're right to do that, because
certainly,
how do they know?
Yeah.
How do they know what's just whining and what's just what they're supposed to be told.
Wow. That's so this is cool that you brought that up, because you can obviously see this is the wrong way to do this. This is a boss who was afraid to face the problems head on. All right. Probably somebody who shouldn't be a supervisor. So I'm looking at this where it's already the bottom of the hour. And so what we're going to do is take a little bit of a break to thank those people who do so much work and do so many things to help this station. And then we're going to come right back and we're going to dive into the bacon here, which is the balance, the adaptability, collaboration, ownership, and navigation, and see what you guys have got to say about that. So in the meantime, all the rest of you out there, please stay tuned. There's a lot more of Bacon Bits coming up.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
Hi, I'm Country Chuck. Tune into my show Mondays from 11 to 1. I play all the oldies from 50s to current hits here at 98.3 FM, The Life.
Hello, listeners. Cliff Sayers here. I'm inviting you to join me noon Fridays for This Rock's Gotta Roll show on 98.3 FM The Life. I play music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today.
Hi, this is Ronald Curtis Grace, host of the Air Candy Emporium show right here on WRLR 98.3 The Life. Join us every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time. We'll share some great music, have a laugh or two, and get your weekend started on the right note. That's the Ear Candy Emporium show, the home of sweet musical treats. Every Friday afternoon from 4 to 6, right here on 98.3 The Life, and streaming live on WRLR.FM. See you then.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
And we are back. Thank you so very much for staying tuned in to 98.3 FM The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. I'm your host, Marty J. Love, and I come at you every single Monday night at 7 o'clock. But if there's any part of these episodes that you miss, definitely follow us on our podcast, which is Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, anywhere you listen to podcasts. We are doing episode 10 of this 10-part series on professional growth, young leaders. And we're just talking to my two sons here, Luke and Nate, about their experiences in the office. And I'm sharing some of my my glory stories and the horror stories of things that I've learned throughout my long career. And what we're doing is we're talking about how we can become better leaders. And so again, this is the wrap up, the episode 10. So we're kind of touching on everything. We're going to get into a little bit of the bacon, guys. And so the bacon, the BACON, we're going to be talking a little bit about balance, adaptability, collaboration, ownership, and navigation. In other words, navigation is how we have to learn to navigate our teams. So balance, what is something, which one of you guys have felt that you've worked someplace where there wasn't enough balance, whether the company put it on you or you put it on yourself? And then how did you correct it? Or are you still in the position where you're not correcting it?
No, I think that's a tricky situation, especially when you are a young manager, because you have all the expectations set out in front of you by your upper management. And so It's how do you learn how to delegate and let your team fail sometimes, but you have to balance out that workload, because all of a sudden it can be 10 p.m. on a Sunday and you've been working the entire week long, and rather than trusting your team or doing that, you're still doing everything, and then Monday morning rolls around and you've got frustration because I can't believe that I had to do all of this and nobody's pulling their weight. But it's some of it's just you getting frustrated, or just going, you know what, I'll just do it myself. And so kind of the balance thing is a tricky thing to learn, and I think part of it is just being okay with letting your team fail a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
And understanding how to allow them to fail without losing service to the customer in such a way that it hurts the business, but also that they learn and they grow from it.
Okay. You know what? I kind of like one of the things you really touched on there, Nate, was the idea of what I might consider balance working really long days and Monday through Saturday, let's say, and then Sunday's my only day off, or even Sunday's a half a day or whatever, maybe that's what I consider balance. Like I'm going to dedicate myself to the job. But a good leader realizes that not every employee is going to define balance the same way I do.
Yeah.
So I think it's important as a leader to understand what you really expect of your employees and what the employees expect from you, and how you define balance. It's probably an interesting thing to talk about with employees, because you can't force employees to work longer hours without pay. You can't say, take this work home and do it over dinner.
Right.
Okay. But some employees do go out of their way. They want to spend extra time, their own personal time, learning something about the job, learning something about the industry, et cetera, in order to become the best version of themselves. And as long as they pull that up and do it on themselves, do it on their own time, they do it with their own, they motivate themselves to do this, then you've got like a really winning employee.
Yeah.
Okay.
And something too, I think is if you can establish the expectations of the role.
Yep.
And say, some people, it might take them 12 hours to accomplish this. Other people, it might take them 8 hours to accomplish this. How you break up your time and how you get it done, or how you spread it out, I don't care about that, as long as you are getting what I ask of you accomplished within the time frame and the deadlines that I set. And it's kind of building that in your team.
There you go. I like it. Luke, anything on this balance, work-life balance?
I remember there was a situation where after Christmas Day, I remember from about till Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, till like late January, I had been scheduled to work a little every day of the week.
Okay.
And this wasn't really talked over with me, but I was like, yeah, sure, why not? They're not super long shifts.
Yeah.
But I remember around like near when it ended, it was brutal. I was exhausted. I wanted to spend a whole day just out of this place I've been going to all the time.
Right.
So
right.
At some point I go up to the guy who was mentioned earlier, if you can
Okay.
believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I don't know if I can do this working every day. And immediately, without even a second thought, he was like, okay, fine.
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
It was cool, but to me, it also like illustrated like, oh, so so you knew I might have a problem with it.
But he's like, oh, well, let's test Luke. Let's push him as far as we can get.
How long? Yeah.
Wow. Now, from the other side point, what I wanted to say was this: is that I remember I was working in a place, and my family, we would go to like the Lake Geneva area. It was Lake Lawn Lodge, I think it was called. I think it was around Lake Geneva. And we'd go during that week between Christmas and New Year's, and we would spend a few days there, and just like everyone would get together. And then I got a new job. No, I was working there at the time. I got promoted to the manager of a department, and one of the employees always asked for that time off, right? And he had been there for a long period of time. Well, I was the manager. I could have easily said, sorry, it doesn't happen anymore. You have to work because I'm taking that time off. But as a manager, understanding how important it is that the first person who's got to, the front line has got to be me. And since we both couldn't go, I told him, go ahead. If you got something scheduled, you're always going to do this, go ahead and do that. And I had to tell my family, that's it. I can't do this anymore. And I just always looked at this thinking, is there some point in time where maybe, and I went to this guy every year and I said, are you sure you got to take this? Because it would be cool if I could take some of those days off. But I said, you've been doing this for a long time. I'm the manager. It's up to me that the work gets done first. So I'm going to let you guys choose your days off. And that guy never bent. He's like, no, I'm taking time off, So you live and learn. But it was my idea of going. I understood he had to have that work-life balance. He needed that time off just as much as everyone else. And I'm the guy who has to fall on the sword. I'm the one, as the leader, I'm the one who can't. If I said, no, I don't really care if you've been doing this for 10 years, I'm in charge now, so I'm taking that time off. It wouldn't have been fair to him.
No.
Okay?
And you would have lost a reputable, strong employee too. So is what you gain by taking that time off versus what you are going to lose in losing that employee and having to replace him.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that alone, the cost of that is just insurmountable.
Exactly. So with that, let's jump right into this, that adaptability, which leads us to this, is understanding that sometimes we have to adapt to the work environment. We have to adapt to competition. We have to adapt to loss of customers, the gain of customers. We have to adapt sometimes to new products, new positions, etc. And so just like that, I had to adapt to how my new job, my new position in that job was going to affect my life outside of that. And I had to make the choice. What was most important to me? Okay. So what has ever been something that you guys would say was one of your toughest things? Oh, I'm sorry, Nate. I thought I put the camera on me. It's on you. All right. What would you say is one of the most important things, or at a time in your life where you felt like you really had to adapt and you were successful in that? Like you just said, this is not the thing I was hoping to do. This was not the direction I was hoping to go into, or I've been given a lot of responsibility, and but I just have to jump into it with both feet. Just jump into the water, deep end, both feet, and just make it happen. Something you learned how to do, then you were successful.
Well, I was working for a company for a couple of years, and then they were acquired by a larger corporation. And the initial thing was everything's going to stay the same, nothing's going to change. But as we know, that's never the truth. And so just kind of taking the mindset of going, okay, I thought I had the next 15 years pretty much laid out in my mind. Like I knew how I thought things were going to go. I knew the progression. I knew the steps I was going to take to achieve what I wanted and everything like that. And to take all of that and go, okay, that's not going to happen.
Right.
And then getting and gathering as much of an understanding of the goal and the mission statement and the idea behind the company that acquired us, and then going, okay, how am I going to change my mindset without losing the things that I valued and what I tried to instill in my team. How am I going to match what the new company is asking? And then, what does that mean for my future? And it's tough. It's tough because when you sit there and you think you have everything figured out, and then all of a sudden you are throwing a curveball, it can really be challenging. But it's what I found is focusing on all of the benefits of, okay, there's, this is going to be better. There's going to be more technology. There's going to be, a different financial backing and everything along those lines, and really capitalizing on that and promoting that with your team, if you can do that. But then also going to, the management in the company that you are now dealing with, and going, look, these are the things that really worked.
Okay.
When the way we ran things, and I want to still hold these things dear. These are the things, and if you can find the balance of where to bend and where to hold fast on things, you can kind of it just helps with dealing with a situation like that.
Okay, that's cool. I can understand that. One of the things I wanted to ask about this adaptability is, Luke, you do a little improv, right?
That's that. Yes, I do.
There you go.
It's happening.
And so your camera is telling me it's completely out now.
That's all right. They can do my voice again.
Right?
That's right.
So we're gonna try this a different way. There we go. Let's see how does that work. Awesome. That's still Nate.
Still Nate.
All right. So, all right. Good.
So to the
there
three
we
people,
go.
to the
Look
three
at that.
people
Look at
on
that.
YouTube Live.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
no,
it's you.
Yeah. Oh.
No, there you go. I don't know what that's doing. All right,
Well,
how
it's
about-
Nate again.
how about there we go. There you go. There we go. Look at that. I just have to learn to switch, I think.
Oh,
You're
there
back
I
on.
am.
You're back on.
Oh,
Don't fall
that looks
asleep.
Beautiful.
So, improv training.
Uh-huh.
I have got to believe. Now, I studied improv like 1 week less than you. You started a week before me.
Mhm.
Okay, many years ago.
Right.
All right. So I'm always going to tip my hat to you. So I always tell people that improv training has taught me to be the best version of me as a salesperson. You're on camera there. I don't know what you're doing.
I'm
with your hair
adjusting
there.
I'm adjusting the hair. I'm adjusting the hair.
You were fine beforehand.
No,
All right. Anyway, that'll be good when we're going to do those shorts. Anyway, so has improv training helped you become better with adaptability in the workplace?
Not at all. Never.
Good. I'm glad that was such a long leadway.
No, I mean, especially with like customer service,
Yes.
just knowing how to reply to someone
yeah.
always helps.
Do you ever notice with this, and because you're a quick thinker, the things pop in your head more because of this training. You ever notice you see people who don't have that training where they're like, they don't know what to say to people. They don't know how to talk to people. You notice that? You're nodding your head. You know we're on radio.
Well, you're still talking. So if you wanted me to just,
I'm not going to stop talking till 8:00. So go ahead, just interrupt.
It's weird because I don't actually notice people that flummoxed like in daily life. It's only when there's this pressure, almost this pressure to perform, not even necessarily on stage. But like just like, oh, you're expected to really come off like it could be in a professional context. You're expected to come off as if you know what you're doing or something like that. I feel like everyone knows how to function in general. But the second people feel like they have to look like they know what they're doing. That's when it feels like people lose their natural training. And I think that's really interesting to me. It's like, if you don't think about it, you do fine. You know,
Right.
If you walk to the store and talk
I'm wondering though, if they don't think about it, they do fine. Remember, it comes natural to you because of this. You've been on stage a lot doing improv, that speaking on the cuff, coming up with something intelligent to say is a little bit easier than you, and it's easier for you than the average person. I deal with a lot of companies and I do a lot of training, a lot of sales training, customer service training. I talk to managers and how they deal with their employees. And I have seen people where they just shut up. They're like, I don't know what to say. Or they definitely say the completely wrong thing. Like, what were you thinking? That's the only thing that popped in my head.
But in what context are you talking to these people?
Okay, so I would agree with you that it's kind of like something came up, it threw them for a loop. They didn't know how to answer.
Yeah, it's to the extent it's all about how do they think they need to come off. It's the second that you think about optics, that I think most people lose it. It's because everyone, I always think this, like, everyone's funny.
Okay, I would agree.
Because everyone uses humor to communicate.
Yes.
It's so the fact that anyone is a professional comedian is astounding when everyone's funny.
Yeah.
But it's just about.
Have you talked to Rusty? No, go ahead.
Not nearly as long as everyone else in this room has.
Exactly.
But it's just this idea of people who that's really what all you have to learn is, like, brush away the worrying about how you come off. That's not, you know, people don't care about your PR. They care about what you actually think.
Everyone's I think people overthink things and they think everything's a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah. See, when I don't know what to say to somebody, I just schedule them on a different shift for me.
Really?
That also
so
works.
you're the guy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
Nate.
Beautiful. All right. Well, this leads us right to collaboration, which is different than calibration, if you remember from earlier in the show. Collaboration. I wanted to leave the camera on you, Luke, because, you know, I will see if I can get it to work again. Yeah, but the camera's on you.
Yeah, his hair is perfect anyway.
Exactly.
Switches.
Exactly. But collaboration, working as a team. All right. What are some of the things that you have seen that people do that really works? And what are some of the things, like, can you give us a secret of something that's successful or something that's not successful?
In my career,
yes,
I guess you could call it, in doing comedy, in like the experience that I've had, I think that the strongest kind of collaboration you can get is not the people who just agree to or bend to whatever you're putting forward. I think it's the people who challenge you.
Okay.
I think that is probably true.
You're going against the yes and mentality?
Yes, of course I am.
Nice.
Because why? Why yes and? Who wants to watch two people go and say, "Oh, I love milk. I love milk too." Yeah. You know, grandmom, I love, you know, it's boring. It's boring. You know, it's all storytelling is all about conflict and change. So it's agreement is boring, and you can't get anything progressive out of it. It's about challenging and like compromise. That's the stuff that actually I think makes collaboration such a unique and like important aspect of just life. Is like, you can't just do it the way you think you're going to do it, or the way you want to do it. You have to work with others. I think, right. And I agree. I think people have to, first off, it's both sides. The people you're working with have to have open minds to maybe learn another way to do it. And I think even the person who's leading it has got to be able to challenge people. I do agree with you. I do believe still
very strongly in the tenet of yes and but I think you do. If we did a whole show on the virtues of yes and
I might
think,
use the words yes and the word and
that's
at
enough.
some point.
And there we go. We the camera may be on you, but your mic is off. Okay. So so Nate, let me throw it by you. Look at that. Wow, I got the camera to work quickly that time. So Nate, what about you as collaboration? What's some of the things, what are some of your secrets that you would say have been successful and you going to get a team to work together?
The thing that kind of, I don't know, is if you can get away from the mindset of like individual responsibilities almost. And it kind of almost, it sounds almost counterintuitive, but when you have a team and everybody has their specific tasks in that group, sometimes people just get focused on their exact thing. So, if I got to move X number of trailers from here to here,
okay,
once I have moved that number of trailers, even though they are part of the team as a whole, and the objective is to move all of the trailers from point A to point B, once I have my 10 trailers moved, then I don't have to worry about anyone else's. But if you go, and it kind of goes just to what everything else builds on, is the communication thing. Is like, it's not a matter of just moving your 10 trailers. We have to move 50 trailers. And here's why we have to move 50 trailers. And just because you got your 10 moved doesn't mean that then you don't have to work with anybody. You should be looking at the best way to move all of them and how you can use your resources to do it and help the people around you. So really just building the communication between the team of, I'll help you, you help me, and kind of but just like really talking, I need this, I don't need this, and being very, very vocal amongst them. And it's almost if you can get them to band together, and then as the leader, you want them to look at you as a resource, but not as like the key decision maker. You want them to be able to all sit together, and you should be able to step away from it and give them a task, and then come back and go, how are things going? And they go, this is what we came up with, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing. And then you can maybe go, I would maybe adjust this or maybe tweak this, but it's not you going, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Because then there's nothing to it. Then it is just they're just functioning as fragments.
Gotcha. So I'm loving exactly what you said. There we go. We just lost it. I thought I was going to switch the camera, and no. All right, so you're going to be on the camera for a little while, Nate. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, oh, there we go. It worked. I knew if I could just keep hitting the lever 30 times, it'll eventually work. Somebody tell me, why don't you just do it this way? All right. Anyway, with this collaboration, I like how you guys, what's going back and forth with you guys is all this time is a lot of trust. It's going always back to communication and trust. The more we communicate with the people and tell them exactly what we're expecting, and trusting them to do it, which is really important. I would say that anyone listening to the show who's a young leader or an experienced leader and trying to mentor people up, it's really important. Just those two things. You're listening to these guys who are, learning and growing together, as well as the experience I've had. I would definitely say the people who have instilled trust in me, the people who have given me that additional responsibility, I've always gone out of my way to become very successful for them. So this is going to lead up to, we're getting close to the end, the ownership, and then how we navigate. And the navigate is how we do all of that kind of stuff. But the ownership, I think, is really, really important, is understanding that it's okay to make up, to screw up. It's okay to make mistakes, as long as we don't continue to repeat those mistakes. And along with this communication we've been talking about, I think it's important for us to go back and, as young leaders, go and talk to the people above you and ask what our values are. That short list of values that our place is based on. What are the things that we stand? What are the lines in the sand? These are the things that we make decisions based on. Okay. I've talked about the values that I define for my company, Master Happiness, is going to be things like, obviously, happiness, inspiration, creativity, empathy, and integrity. Those are the 5 tenets for my business, the things that are most important to me. And if I had employees and they made a decision, a bad decision, they made a wrong decision, and I asked them, why did you make that decision? As long as they can recite one of those. We did this because it was the most creative way for us to show our customers empathy. If they came back with me, I can't fault them, because what they did was I gave them the trust to go ahead and do something. They followed the values that I set forth as how I define my company. And so all I'm going to do is say, I love the way you did that. I love that you're thinking. Let's not do that exactly that way. I think there's other ways we can show creativity and empathy in a different way. So let's go with this. Thank you. And we would move forward. So I think owning that, first off, coming and saying, these are my values, and owning them and living up to them, and teaching my employees to own them and live up to them, and giving them that trusting environment so that they can make mistakes and they can come to me at any time with a mistake, as long as they say, this is what I did. I mean, even if they go, you know what, I just screwed up. I made this mistake because I got scared. This customer was yelling and I just made a mistake. Okay, that's going to happen. And then the next question I'm going to ask them is this: I'm glad you came to me. You showed vulnerability. You own the problem. You understand it was yours. Awesome. How do we remedy that? How do we fix that in the future so that it never happens again? Okay.
Yep. No, and I think I know we're getting tight on time,
That's
but I think a big part of ownership is just really promoting a solution-based mindset of, if there's an issue or something goes wrong, helping them go, okay, this was the mistake. This is why I made the mistake.
Yep.
How am I going to fix the mistake while still, kind of adhering to whatever the guidelines or whatever you set out for your company as your goals.
There you go. There you go. Luke, anything to add to that? While I try to figure out the camera, you're just going to say, no, you love everything.
I do love everything.
All right. All right.
No, here's what I'll add. It's
Please.
That as a young professional, a recent college graduate stepping into the business world, mastering time management is both an art and a necessity.
What are you
will
reading
no longer
from?
be entirely your own.
I'm going to turn off your mic.
Juggle multiple
All right.
priorities.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's go. Let's just jump right into this. The navigation is how we go about and do this. How we. It's easy to talk about all these things. You're still on camera while you're over there playing with your eyeball.
Well, I don't know why I'm still on camera. You're talking.
Do you not see? Are you not on the camera in front of you?
It's delayed by like
All
10
right.
minutes.
Okay, excellent. All right. This will go down as one of the best shows in the station's history.
Well, I'm glad.
All right. So anyway, it's back on me. All right. So go ahead. Do what you got to do. All right. Take your eye mites out or whatever. All right. So anyway, when we're sitting there and navigating all of these things, and we are trying to push our employees, motivate them to find some balance between work and life, when we are trying to inspire them to become more adaptable, when we are working with them, pulling them together to help with collaboration, and giving them the trust that they need to be vulnerable and take ownership for this. That's what we talk about all in all when we're talking about navigating as a great young leader. Now, I just want to get into this whole thing of, I want you to think, is there anything in today's show that highlighted that meant something to you, or something throughout the entire year that you'd go back and say, this has been really important to me. And so this is the one thing that in the past year, since we've been talking about this, is how I've changed or grown or something like that. And I'm going to just read this one thing that I really like. It's going to be kind of obvious, but it's always a good reminder. And that is that leadership, like so many other things, leadership is a journey. It's not a destination. You don't just become a good leader. You have to continue to grow as a leader. You keep building and changing, evolving, because you're always going to have different types of employees, different people who are following you. So you've always got to adapt and change yourself as well. So either one of you guys, anything in the past year or today's show that stands out that you'd say, this is the most valuable piece of information we talked about?
I think one of the biggest things is just really highlighted in the year for me has been the importance of listening and understanding, and using that as a leader to just build trust in the people beneath you. If one of your direct reports is just talking to you, if you are, all you're doing is sitting there going, yes, correct, yes, of course, and not actually listening to anything they're saying, they immediately are going to check out of the conversation. You're not going to accomplish anything. So really showing that you're listening, showing that you're understanding. You don't have to agree, but if you listen and understand where they're coming from and allow them to communicate, you will have much more of their faith and their confidence in you. And then one other thing is, it was a comment that you made at some point in passing. It might not even been on the show. Me and you were just talking before or after.
Sure.
But you said one of the most important skills to learn is not only managing down, but managing up, and understanding how to work with upper management and get them to kind of accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. With your team.
I'm glad you remembered that one. Awesome. Luke, you got anything to add to this as we're winding down the show?
Honestly,
no,
it's 8 o'clock. I'm not going to ramble. I'm not going to ramble. I'm not going to ramble some.
No, I don't want you to read from the website. Anything?
I'm not.
Anything? All right,
I was trying to jog my memory, but
if you were to just say one last thing, is what would be your biggest skill that you would say you would hope that managers have for you, that people you work for, or one of the greatest skills you would work on if you had to lead a team? And it's just one skill. So it doesn't mean that it's the only skill. It's the number one skill.
I think the greatest skill you can have is to trust while being prepared for that trust to fall through.
Wow.
To openly trust, even though it might not work out for you.
I love it. Wrong answer. Okay. Nate, same question. One thing, if you were to list one thing that you find the most important, and understanding that tomorrow you might go, I should have said this.
No, it's listening.
There you go. I love it. So I'm going to cheat and just say that I agree with both of you, and that it is listening and trust.
All right.
So beautiful. So with that, I want to thank all of you for paying attention. If you watch us on YouTube, this has been quite a delight trying to figure out where the cameras are going to be. But definitely follow us on Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. Listen to the entire show and go back into this. Go to masterhappiness.com. Look for the blog posts and look for the group of posts that are called Professional Growth, and you can listen in on all 10 of the episodes. And you too can be a great young manager. So thank you guys. Thank you so very much. I'm looking forward to what we're going to do in 2025. 2025 is going to be a big, more exciting year. You looking forward to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Well, I'm sold.
All right. All right. Sounds good. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.